Hey guys, this is Will and Jen
Hi guys.
for our DuggBott podcast. Thank you for choosing us. Thank you for deciding to click on whatever social media or whatever thing that you just clicked on to listen to us. So thank you so much for that. Um, we just want to let you know that this is a different uh, sort of episode today, episode this week because we just had some technical difficulties and we were just trying to figure out how to best present these first this first episode to you.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the first 3 episodes of WandaVision. And typically we'll start with some comic book news and give a little intro on the episode before we get into them. We just want to give a disclaimer of a spoiler alert because we will be talking details of the episode. So if you haven't watched the first 3 episodes of WandaVision, go watch those and then come back and watch. Or if you don't care about being spoiled, keep going. It's up to you.
Yeah, it's totally up to you. If you want to get, you want these 3 episodes to be spoiled, then by all means, we'll spoil it away for you. But if you want to not have, all this information spoiled for you without watching it, please go watch those first 3 episodes, and then just come back and listen to us. And if you want to hear what we have to say, that's great.
Awesome. So there was your warning. You could go and keep watching the episode.
Hello, everyone. Hello, all you cool cats and kittens. My name is Will Duggan. I am with my great friend, Jennifer Bott. We are here. This is the DuggBott podcast. It's based off our names. We are here. We're going to be talking about reviews for movies, TV, and video games. And this is something we've been trying to do for a while, and we just thought, during these crazy COVID times that, we should try, do something together, and hopefully it works. And hopefully you guys like it. So for our first episode, we are going to be talking about WandaVision, the new
Yes.
Disney Plus Marvel Studio series. We are so excited to go into this. I know Jen is definitely. Jen, are you so excited to go into this?
I am so excited. I feel like we've been waiting for new stuff from Marvel forever, and I'm so glad that this is the first thing we're getting.
I know. This is like 2020 has been a drought of Marvel content. I mean, we were waiting for Black Widow for, so long. I mean, we thought, we were going to get it in May. We were so pumped. I remember you and I in March were like, oh my God, it's coming out. Then pandemic happened and it got pushed back to November. And they're like, okay, we can do it. We don't want it to be pushed to Disney Plus. Like, we can see it. But then, that got moved to May. And now we're like, okay, hopefully this works out. And then I heard news it's going to be pushed back again, maybe. So now I'm just like, okay, I don't know. But throughout that whole 2020, we haven't really been getting any Marvel content. So WandaVision has
Hmm.
definitely been a great sight for my sore Marvel eyes right now. I am definitely so happy to see this show, and I can't wait to really, talk about it with you.
Yeah, same. And what I love so much about it, and I was thinking about it recently, is so WandaVision is the first show to come on Disney Plus for Marvel. And the whole show is like, I just love the name of this show, WandaVision. Like the whole symbolism, like it's Wanda and Vision. It's WandaVision, like she's in a television set. And this is the first time Marvel is really stepping into television on Disney Plus. So I kind of love all of that together. Like that gets me so excited.
I
Like,
truly get nerded out by it, honestly. Like me just seeing that when they first announced that they were dipping into television series, I was like, of course, just Kevin Feige had to change the game yet again. Um, but yeah, it's funny because like I think both of us, we watched the other, I mean, Marvel TV shows, but those are not. And correct me if I'm wrong. They're like Kevin Feige said they're not really truly connected to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Is that correct?
so, I mean, don't take my 100% word for it, but I haven't really seen a lot of the Marvel Netflix shows.
Oh
I
yeah, so
mean, so like I can't really say about those cuz as a Marvel fan, I know I should watch them. Like I've seen some of them, but they're really dark for me. I mean, For you listeners, you should know I am a gigantic Agents of Shield fan. Like that's like one of my favorite shows of all time. And is that connected to the MCU? At the start it is. Yeah, but like it does kind of go farther away. So like it's debatable. Like they reference Avengers Endgame that it's happening, but like Avengers Endgame never really references
Mhm.
them.
It's it's sort of I agree. In many sense, I think in some ways I feel like Agents of Shield and the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it feels like a one way love in a relationship. Like this one person loves this other person so genuinely and wants to give so much to them, but the other person just like, I'm not. I mean, I'll like maybe reference you a little bit, but like not really. But like I still appreciate your love, but I'm not really gonna give anything back. That's how I see how. That's how I see the MCU compared to like Agents of Shield. Like Agents of Shield just drops all this, all these connections, and Marvel's just like, like you're not really a part of us, but like whatever. Okay.
Yeah, I see that, and I get where you're. I feel like that's a very good, like a very good way to describe what's going on. That makes a lot of sense.
But
But
yeah, I wish. Okay, so let's yeah,
WandaVision, episode 1. Let's talk
episode.
about it.
Let's talk about it. Okay, so episode one goes right into the 1950s. It's just both of them right out of the gate. Just they're driving into their new suburban home, and they do all little 1950s quirks, and I just found it definitely hilarious. At the same time, it just sort of weird to see both of these huge, super Avengers in this setting. This is something that like I am very happy that they took, WandaVision this direction. And because it's bold, it's something that we haven't, seen before. What are your thoughts on it, Jen?
I completely agree. Like I thought it was so fun to like watch. I mean, the Lopez's wrote that theme song at the very beginning, and like I mean, I love them and love that music, and it just really set the scene of what we are gonna expect for the next few episodes, because it's not what we're used to, like you said. Like it's a totally different way, and I think it can bring in a lot of newer audiences who haven't seen the MCU and just kind of want to see like the throwback, and they kind of can relate to that. And it gives us a whole new way of like looking into things, because there are so many little things that happen that are like whoa, wait, and it's like all happening within this 1950s world, and it's like not what we're used to. I
I
also,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, no, you go.
I
Yeah.
really briefly just wanted to talk about just like the black and white, like, and like I just love that, and I love the fact that they filmed this in front of a studio audience and all of that, just bringing in the filmmaking aspect, like taking it to the 1950s like that is really cool.
Agreed. I completely agree. I this different 1950s aspect is sort of reminiscent of shows like I Love Lucy, shows I think I don't know if the Dick Van Dyke Show started in the 60s or if it was the 50s, but just it was great to see the references towards that, and it really shows that the I think the creator Matt Shankman, if I'm correct, really shows his love of I think TV shows throughout the years, throughout these different decades. And I realized it's funny because so the first episode of the show of WandaVision is called Film Before Live Studio Audience, and it's crazy how you think Marvel went from like all these giant, huge, big budgeted movies to shows that still have ginormous budgets, but at the same time they sort of present themselves as these like well, WandaVision is presenting itself as this little, almost like a little, just a regular like network TV show, um, no TV sitcom, and I just find it hilarious. But yeah, the one thing I wish we could get into like Easter eggs right now because there's so many Easter eggs and it gives so many clues to sort of the rest of the story. But what I found very interesting that this episode, I think maybe sort of the pivotal point that we should sort of look into is sort of how you have this A plot, you have this A plot that they're presenting to you that's sort of like you think it's like, oh, this is like nice and playful. Like I wonder if there's more into it, but that's not the A plot. That's like
Mhm.
they're presenting this A plot to you, but it's not the true story, and that I feel like really breaks through when Vision invites his boss and his wife over to dinner, but totally forgets to tell Wanda, and
Well, they have a little like Wanda thinks that it's like they wires just get crossed, like
yes,
it's the sitcom thing. Like, Wanda
yes.
thinks everything is going great and Vision thinks everything is going great and they're on the same page, but they're really not.
Yes, exactly. I loved how that's truly a sitcom trope, which I love. You see it a lot in sitcoms where the two main characters just they think they might be on the same page, but they're really not, and you see it in like Modern Family, Roseanne, like earlier, in like in the '90s, Family Matters. I feel like you see it all the time, and it's just funny how it's addressed in the show. But it's great because it's this thing that you recognize those plots, but it's funny how it's being played because that's not the true story that's going on. This is like a hidden illusion that you're seeing,
Mhm.
but it's weird because it's like you're so used to it and you're like, oh god, how are they going to sort of play around with this? It's just very intriguing to me.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean the big notable scene obviously through this is the choking scene
Oh yes.
where they're sitting down at dinner and all of a sudden, what are they screaming? It was stop it.
Oh, so Mrs. Hart, who if you don't recognize, I'll just say quickly, she's definitely well known throughout the sitcom industry. Her name is Deborah Jo Rupp, and honestly, she played Kitty Foreman uh, in that '70s show where she plays Eric's mom, and so she's well known in the sitcom industry. But I love this, little scene. I know that's weird to say because it's really this guy is choking, but it really shows that this is exactly what it definitely doesn't seem like. You have Mrs.
Mhm.
Hart saying stop it, stop it, stop it, and it's has so much ambiguity in it. Like she's saying stop it to Mr. Hart, but what she's really, I feel like, is she's saying, I think what is she is saying, she's saying to Wanda, like, please
Yeah.
stop this. Like
Mhm.
whatever is going on in this reality, like please stop it. That's what I'm sort of feeling from Mrs.
Yeah.
Hart.
Like when I watched it back, I mean, I've seen this episode. I watched these two episodes 3 times before we started recording this. And it took me until the third time to realize he was they were grilling her and Vision about like questions about what's going on, what's your story, what's happening, and they wouldn't stop. And then he starts choking. I think Wanda made him start choking,
Agreed. Yeah, like
right?
I definitely I think that's what sort of happened because both of them were in this like weird, worried, like anxious state when he
Mm-hmm.
kept on like grilling them, and you could just see that they were in a very tense situation. And I think it seemed like Wanda wasn't like targeting Mr. Hart exactly, but maybe it was more like subconsciously done, possibly. Do you
Mm-hmm.
get that feeling? Because it was sort of
Yeah.
almost like a reflex to sort of stop him from like
Mm-hmm.
bunching this. And what I found, truly interesting is, after Vision, after Wanda's like Vision help him, and you
Yep.
notice like the way Wanda said it was just like she took herself out of the 1950s reality for a second, like and
Mm-hmm.
addressed him like that, and so he, seriously, very seriously, helped, phased into Mr. Hark's neck and pulled out the
Mm-hmm.
sausage, uh, and I think what's crazy about what happened afterwards is just like things immediately sort of went back into the 1950s
Yeah.
world.
It was
Like,
like a scene out of a different movie because it was like a horror scene almost.
oh, sure, it's something like I mean, I know the MCU can get dark sometimes, but this was something like a type of dark that I just haven't seen from the MCU. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
surprised and like in a good way because I was like I am that definitely shocks me. This is dark, but I am glad that they're taking this route because Yeah, I just feel like, MCU sometimes they get I feel like sometimes that they can honestly get joked around with by like saying like, oh, it's not too serious. They're too
Mhm.
funny. Like, there's no way like this is like they could ever really go truly dark like DC movies. But I'm like, no, like check this scene out from WandaVision. Like they get a little dark, which I'm pretty surprised about.
Yeah, completely. It's not what you normally would see. And I mean, we are in this 50s world, but it's not just 50s sitcom. I mean, it feels like they're throwing back to really old school horror movies in this scene with the camera work and the editing and all that jazz.
I'm
And I thought that
almost
was
yeah.
almost foreshadowing to what is to come. Like
hmm
with I don't know. I have some theories. I don't really want to say them at this moment. I don't think, but like to me, that's where it's kind of going. My thoughts.
Agreed. Like, and after seeing that, I had many theories as well, and just thinking like, oh, I wish I get into it, but there would just be too many for right now. I'll save it for later. But like, I think definitely like there's these little like tropes and things that that are there, but God, you could see how they're like they're slightly peeling off the envelope just a tiny bit, just
Mhm.
trying to sort of reveal a little bit to us. Um, and what I'm like noticing too is that just with this episode, um, how they do a great job at like trying to transport the audience into this world of WandaVision, of Wanda's reality, everything's fine. Um, but yeah, that's the thing. I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out the show within the show right now. I think
Mhm.
the first episode,
Yeah.
sort of addressed that a tiny bit, especially with the commercials. I think
Oh my
with the
gosh, I
commercials,
forgot about the
the
commercials.
I know it's honestly
They're
like
not
it's
in my
crazy
notes, but like
watching the
those.
commercials. It was the first time I've actually generally, loved watching commercials. Like I mean, I love advertising. Don't get me wrong, I like commercials, but this is a time where like you see these commercials and you're just like, wow, they actually mean something to the story. Like they're
Mhm.
not just like one offs. They're not just oh to play around with MCU fans. It's I even mentioned in my notes. I remember I was just like, oh my god, like the first time I actually like watching commercials. Like this is
Yeah.
crazy. Like I can't believe. I think the first one, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the toaster, the
Yeah,
Stark
the first
toaster.
one is the toaster.
Oh my
Um
god.
yeah,
Like
Stark and just that red light and all that like throwing back to Wanda and her past.
definitely, and like so. I think just with those like commercials, it was that one, and there was the Strucker watch. Am I
Yeah, oh my
correct?
the Strucker, if you've seen Agents of Shield, I mean, that's where I got shot back to, but it's also her origins of
Yes.
she was
So yeah,
experimented
if
by Strucker, right?
oh yeah, so Baron von Strucker, if if you guys haven't watched, Avengers: Age of Ultron, or sorry, also Captain America: Winter Soldier,
Yeah.
uh, that's how Wanda and her brother Pedro get her powers is from Baron von Strucker. Sorry, Baron von Strucker. Um, they actually get their powers from Loki's scepter that holds the Mind Stone, and Baron von Strucker has a big big hand in, helping Wanda and Pietro get their powers, and that's how Wanda, becomes Scarlet Witch.
Mhm.
So you could see in in that commercial specifically, a callback to the guy who gave Wanda's powers in the first place. But yeah, that's the thing about these commercials. Like some, when you watch commercials in any other, aspect, they're to sell a product, but right now it's really also showing you what might be truly going on or truly
Mhm.
digging deeper into Wanda's mind.
Yeah, totally. I mean, these aren't the typical commercials either. These are put in by the show. It's not like we're watching a Walmart commercial and
Of course.
so like it's really cool that they decided to instead of skipping like not making anything for a commercial cuz like we fade to black and we fade back and they I just love the thought process of oh, well, when you're making a television, like if you're not making it, if you're projecting it or like show. I can't even think of the word. It's not streaming. That's now broadcasting. That's the word I'm looking for. When you're broadcasting television on cable, like there is going to be commercials. So if that's what we're kind of going with, is broadcasting this, or whoever is broadcasting this, they had to have a commercial. And I'm glad that they kind of thought that and put that in. I think that was really clever. So that second commercial was episode 2, right?
Oh, I believe so. Yeah, sure. Sorry. So the Strucker one was episode 2. I keep on
No,
forgetting.
that's okay. I think we should just keep moving to the second episode just because we don't have as much time. But so was the bees thing the end of the second episode or the first? I have it written here in the middle.
That was the end of the second episode.
Oh, but you know what happens at the end of the first episode is the pull out from the TV screen.
Yes.
So, I mean, I got shook when I saw that logo that was there.
Oh my god! When they pull out, of both WandaVision just smiling, and ending the episode, you just sort of see, they're in this different station where it's just almost like, I think it's this weird control station, almost like a TV station you sort of see maybe for broadcast news, but then you just sort of see this hand that just finished up running up some notes, and they get this remote, and they turn off this separate TV, and it's like, wait, are Wanda and Vision in a separate? Are they in a TV right now? And also, what is that logo? Oh, is that a sword logo?
Oh, yes, it is. Chloe Bennett, are you there?
Yeah,
That's all I want is Chloe Bennett to come back. Sorry.
I know. Oh my god. I wish there was some ways as well if they could reference, Agents of Shield.
No, it's okay. Just the fact that sword is a thing gives me hope.
Yes.
That we could get Quake and Agent May and Coulson and maybe Fitzsimmons back. We'll see.
Like, come on, just Kevin Feige, just
please,
just do it. Come on, people.
Shield had a bigger fan base than you thought. Anyway, sorry, it's not a Shield podcast. It's not.
I know. We'll address it later sometimes, but we'll get back to the MCU of it all. But I think what's interesting in that is that you see this hand pull back, and I think my quick theory, and I will just nip it in the bud and that'll be it. But I think that's Darcy.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
That's Darcy's hand
which is awesome. Love that. Love her. I'm so excited for her to be back.
I know. I am so excited how they're sort of picking these other characters from out the MCU that you don't really get to see a lot. You see a little bit of them in the movies, and they're putting them towards center stage. I like how Darcy, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jen, her name is Darcy Lewis.
I'm not sure what her last name is.
I mean,
I could look it up.
Sorry. I'll just I think I'll just
Darcy Lewis.
Darcy, yeah.
Yeah, Lewis, you're right.
So Darcy Lewis, I know Jimmy Woo, who was in the Ant-Man and the Wasp movie. He played an FBI agent, but Darcy Lewis was from the Thor movies. She was the intern to Jane Foster in that movie. But now, she seemed like she stepped up a bit. She seemed like, this is her moment to shine. And yeah, I think that's definitely her hand. And she's sort of maybe moderating the TV show,
whatever is going on in this world that someone is creating, which I guess transfers really into the big part of the second episode was the radio. Wanda, right, is who's doing this to you? Is that what happens?
I believe so. So I'll sort of get into that. So the second episode, we are now shifted into the 1960s. More so, I think, it's sort of referring to shows like the Dick Van Dyke Show with a couple, a zany likable comedic couple, and sort of the big plot point of the second episode is Wanda and Vision performing at the town's talent show for the benefit for children, for elementary school children. Is that right?
Yes, for the children.
If you haven't noticed, that for the second episode, that was mentioned a lot.
Yeah.
for the children, for the children. And again, I couldn't help but think like, okay, that's a major point, like a major plot point of the show is I
Mm-hmm.
think they definitely want Wanda to have some kids. That's
And
someone's definitely wanting to have Wanda. Someone definitely wants Wanda to have kids for sure.
yep.
Yep.
They all even said it together, right? They was like,
Yes.
let's do it together for the children. And the first episode, they're like, why don't you have children yet? So, like, it's foreshadowing.
Definitely foreshadowing. Like when Wanda goes to the planning committee for the town show,
Mm-hmm.
they mention it. But yeah, what I found interesting about like the second episode, I'll just say, quickly, is that like I I find it funny just the little show within the show of the show. I mentioned that a
Yeah.
lot. But you see that Wanda is in this planning committee, of course, like Dottie, who is sort of the head of this planning committee, is, the mom you see, or like the head of the PTA that, likes to control other people in the group. And like, you
Mm-hmm.
could see that she gives off like a mean girl, Regina vibe, I think. Um, but yeah, it's funny because that's what you initially think. But then, of course, when the big thing happens with the radio, with Jamie Woo trying to get through to Wanda, be like, Wanda, who's doing this to you?
Mm-hmm.
Things change. All of a sudden, you like, I
Yeah.
feel sorry for Dottie. I'm like, Dottie, are you okay? Is things going on? When like her glass, when she crushes the glass with her hands, and red actual color,
Mm-hmm.
the color red of blood, start dripping from her hands. Like, oh, this is not what I thought. Like something I feel is definitely happening to Dottie, and I feel extremely sorry for her right now.
Yeah, what I mean, so something just super quick and super on the side is
Yeah.
Dottie, when the minute I heard her name, I don't know if anyone has seen Agent Carter, but Dottie was the spy, the Russian spy, who's blonde, who, not gonna lie, they don't look too different from each other. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. And she's the one who's married to Ralph, right? And Ralph, I don't know who we know much about him yet, but I heard a theory that he isn't the greatest person. We'll see. Right? Is that Ralph? Or is Ralph the other guy? Ralph's the other
Oh,
husband.
oh, so
There's two
actually, Ralph
husbands.
is
I'm
like
confused
the.
now.
I think so. There's this big thing. I don't know if you've noticed this in sitcoms, but sometimes I don't know if you like watch this happen a lot, but it with sitcoms sometimes you have like these characters that are like the husbands or the wives or the
Mm-hmm.
moms or dads. They're just not there. They're somewhere
Like Gilmore
other,
Girls with Mr. Kim.
divorced. Like, have you ever seen like in iCarly, like with Sam's mom and
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Carly's dad? Like they're just not there, but they're definitely like a part of their lives. But I think that's the thing with Catherine Hahn. Like Catherine Hahn plays Agnes, the nosy neighbor,
Yeah.
for Wanda, and she keeps on making the joke like, "Oh, my husband Ralph, like, he wouldn't, help me out. He wouldn't remember my birthday if it was, written on a beer." Like he mentions like my husband, that her husband Ralph wasn't at the talent show. I'm thinking like this is definitely a play. Like there's no husband Ralph. This is just part of like the weird sitcom world.
Very true. Yeah, but I don't know who I was thinking of, but yeah, that was just like a little side thing about Dottie, and I love when I think about things that have to do with other shows that I watch, because Agent Carter is another one of those shows I love.
No, Agent.
So
Like I totally went off tangent. I am sorry for that. I
no, we both went off tangent. It's okay.
but yeah, I think it might be a play with Agents of Shield. Maybe I think I wish that show was also more correlated with the MCU.
Agent
But
Carter.
yeah,
That show was
but
really good. Not gonna
I
lie.
heard,
Go
I
watch it
know
if you
I
haven't seen
watched
it.
the first season. I was like really surprised. I really liked it.
Yeah, I think it was underrated and it like got canceled really fast.
It really
But
was.
anyway, back to the scene where her hand gets broken. Like she doesn't break her hand, she cuts it and it's red. And earlier in that episode, the helicopter comes out of the sky and that's red. And what I kind of was thinking of the correlation, and this might not be true, is that things when the outside world gets involved, color comes into play. Because the thing was red and now her hand is red. I don't know. That's all I kind of was thinking. And especially because the next episode, episode 3, is in color and even
Oh yes.
more is revealed. and when the color comes.
Oh wow, that I feel like that theory hasn't been addressed that much at all. Like I think, and I think you're definitely right with that because whenever something big happens, you're right, color does come into play. Uh, and
Mm-hmm.
it's funny because I mean I'll mention the talent show briefly, but like so for the talent show, so that craziness happens where like we'll just get through with that. Like, Wanda and Vision, they win the talent show unknowingly, really. They do this whole magic
Mm-hmm.
show thing where, like, Wanda's doing all the work and Vision is drunk on gum, I think. Is that
Yep.
so that's like the
Yes.
major thing that happened. And, uh, but at the end, they win. And all of a sudden, of course, the beekeeper incident happens.
Oh yeah, the
And that's,
bees at the end.
yeah,
Uh
that happens at the end, right?
yeah, that's the last of the episode, and then Wanda says no, and then it rewinds, and it's like then the
Oh, yeah,
color
that's when
comes,
color
right?
comes into play, right? That's when, like, all of a sudden
Yeah,
everything
and like
shifts.
to me, that was watching that is Wanda's kind of losing a little bit more control of what's going on. So in order to kind of like color is coming, in order to kind of cope with that, she's like, fine, everything's gonna be in color now. Like it doesn't matter. Like that's kind of what I was thinking. But also the bees thing. So that obviously was a sword guy wearing the sword logo. There's a lot of theories going around about who he is and if he's like a villain. I'm just gonna say Agents of Shield was also had an alternate reality, right? And so, I mean, my thoughts are based on that is like, okay, there's a back door somewhere that maybe Wanda made or was unintentionally made. Maybe that back door is in the middle of a beehive. Like, maybe that's where the bees came from. That's my theory.
My theory, like, yeah, and that could be a thing. It could
So
be.
who knows? Like,
I don't know
maybe
where
the bees
this.
are protecting it. Like,
Yeah.
she's like, I put all these bees here so no one could come in. Who knows?
um, we'll get into like definitely the destination of this thing quickly into episode 3 because there's definitely something I think that reveals about like the destination of where this reality is. But right now, definitely like the beekeeper. Yeah, I'm trying to think like because that it definitely references like a comic. I think
Yes.
like
Yeah,
that.
there I mean, for me, from what I've seen is there's a comic book villain that's made out of bees, but, like, it doesn't really make sense from what I hear. Like, they don't fully have it
Yeah, I think
fleshed out.
definitely a small nod, like for sure.
Yeah.
Um, but it's something that it was just a small nod to a comic book doesn't really serve as like huge significance. That's what I'm getting
Mhm.
so far. Uh,
Gotcha. I haven't looked into it that much because I found my bee theory and I was like, That's all I need."
yeah. Um,
I have my own theory. Who cares
but
about everyone else?
the one thing that I've noticed is that I feel like, and I think maybe we can just like sort of see like this is just fact. I know if it's fact, maybe it's not, but Wanda is definitely, yeah, definitely controlling this reality. I mean maybe
Yeah.
there's someone
Mhm.
aiding her, definitely. I feel like there's someone maybe also helping her out in some way. Maybe I don't know, maybe it's Agnes, maybe it's Dottie. I'm getting a vibe from these two other characters, whether it's Dottie or Agnes, that they're definitely not what they seem as well. But anyways, what I think is that whatever, if there's something small, even a little bit, or like even if like you know someone tries to mess up her reality, or even if it's like someone like of course like Vision that she loves is messing up it just a tiny bit, she's like, okay, I need to sort of, how am I going to fix this, how am I going to fix this? And of course when the beekeeper incident happens, she's like, okay, this is a major thing that Vision's not going to come back from his the normalcy that I want him to be in,
Mhm.
so I have to rewind the entire thing. Um, and I think what's interesting is that like I feel like Wanda's definitely trying to, like a video editor. I'll make a video editor reference right now. Like if you don't like a certain take or certain shot, like you do your best to critique it. You do your best to add
Mhm.
you do some color coding, do whatever you can to sort of edit to your best ability, or to have it away, or or have that scene in a way, or have that shot in a way further enhance the story, or further go along with the flow of the story. And that's what Wanda's doing. She's the editor of her own reality right now. That's what I'm
Yeah,
getting. She
I
is
agree.
just she is video editing the hell out of this or out of her reality right now.
Yeah, she's like, "Take 2."
Take
Uh,
two. let's do this again.
Mhm.
And
And
hopefully
that's when
everything.
is that when
Yeah.
the pregnancy happens? So they find out they're like, "Oh, babies."
Yeah. So I've noticed. So with that. So do you think that was her own intention? Like that was just okay. I need to distract Vision. I need to further my story with him. How am I going to do this? Okay, I think I'm going to give in. I think I'm going to have some children. Is that?
I
Do you sort
mean,
of
I
get
never
that
really
vibe?
thought of it like that. But maybe like cuz she retaked it obviously and came back and had a totally different thing of what's happening. That may have been her initial plan though, cuz if you they did kind of have like a sleeping together moment at the very beginning of the episode when they were in the
Ooh.
bed together. So I kind of felt like that was hinting at what was to come. So it could have been like, oh, the kids are gonna be here right now. Or maybe she fast forwarded the process because that kind of, maybe that's what happened. Maybe she knew it was coming, but she like kind of made it go faster because then that leads into the next episode where it like speeds up so fast. Maybe that's consequence of her actions. I don't know. That just came
I
to my mind right
yeah.
now.
No, 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 no. I think you're completely right with that. I think many people think like, oh no, Wanda just willed her pregnancy into existence. But I'm like, no, she definitely had sex with Vision. Like in the beginning,
Yeah,
she
they
slept
did
with
have
Vision.
like they went out of their way to do that, like make the beds come together and like they're like turn off the light. Like
Like,
we all
yeah,
know
she
what's gonna happen, okay?
yeah, like, come on. So, yeah, maybe that was, of course, one, plot point of the story that definitely had, you're right, some consequences, that what's what led to the pregnancy, but I think, Wanda, of course, she wanted that. I think she wanted to sort of
Yeah,
she wants to continue
definitely.
this love story with Vision, and what's the next down, the marriage line, maybe having some kids.
Yeah, like
So
you said earlier, like we talked about, like this is her reality, like the events of what happened after Avengers Endgame. She's getting to live out her ultimate whatever she wants in this reality because everything was taken away from her.
I know. Like she said in Avengers Endgame, "You took everything away from me."
Yes.
The Thanos. And the one thing I'm trying to think too is like, but like that was Ultron that took away Pietro, so he didn't really take everything away from you. But like, of course, I would never
He
like.
didn't take absolutely everything, but
But you took.
half of
It's
it.
like you didn't take everything. It wouldn't be the same. It would just be like her, just like dropping down to Thanos, being like, "You took something away from me."
Yeah.
It wouldn't be. It wouldn't have the same emotional significance. But anyways, I think what you see with the end of the episode, and we'll go into episode 3 now, is that she is definitely uh trying to continue this sitcom of a love story with Vision, and she doesn't care. She'll do whatever she can to continue with it,
Mhm.
and she'll do it to the extent where she doesn't want anyone to get in the way of that, and
Oh yeah.
by that anyone. So and I think so. We'll go into episode 3 because I think that serves a lot of significance for episode 3. Is that she things really, I would just say, if I could describe this episode 3 in one word, I would describe it as rush, like not in a bad way, but like it's fast. Everything is happening so fast, like just
In episode 3?
yes.
Yeah. I agree.
And don't get me wrong, like I think maybe that's the I love the show, and I love, and what's going on. I've noticed that, I guess since it's in sitcom format, it's only like 27 to 30 minutes long at
Mhm.
most, and that's even including like the intro to the Marvel Studios and then the end credits, and like you're getting a lot of information, but like it is fast. It's coming right
Mhm.
at you, and like you're just trying to like make sure you get everything. And that's where I
Yeah.
just worry a little bit for if you're not, say, maybe the biggest Marvel fan. If safe like you're, like our parents, or just an outside friend who hasn't really watched all the Marvel movies. Like, I'm just like trying to figure out like how confused are they right now if they watch this? Like, how confused are gonna get watching all this, trying to like figure out like, hey, who's Vision again? Like, what's
Yeah,
Wanda?
I completely agree. And the information they give is not clear at all. Like, if you're not looking for it, you'll miss it. Cause like people are probably watching this and not even realizing or really understanding all the stuff we're talking about right now.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
so
like
there was that weird scene where the guy was choking and they had that radio thing and like these other things happened, but like we watched the talent show and we like that's what they're watching. It's like there's like you've said before, there's two totally different stories happening at the same time.
oh yes, like you have these two different stories, and if you're not like a big MCU a fan like us, yeah, you might be like really lost. You're like, what the hell
Hmm.
is going
Or
on?
even
Like
a casual MCU fan,
I know
like who
if like
doesn't put in all this like doesn't go online and research after what they just saw, like or really watch it again, you know?
yeah, like yeah. Say if like you're an MCU fan that like okay you watch the movies, but like you're you watch it because you're with your girlfriend or with your boyfriend or your significant other, and like you like to watch it sometimes, but it's not your biggest thing that you like to watch. You might be like really confused. Like my sister, she likes the Marvel movies. She does. But I remember she's watching WandaVision as well, and she came up to me. She came home one time just to see me, and like she's just like, "Hey, well, yeah, I've been watching WandaVision. I like it, but I'm very lost. Like, what is going
Yeah.
on?" And I had to try and fill her in. Um, and it's just so that's what I'm just fearing with the show. And I think it. Don't get me wrong. I love the show. I think it's doing a fabulous job. Setting these characters on a different path. I'm just saying that. I'm just worry. I worry for the fans who are just not huge MCU fans who are just might be getting a little bit lost with this. I think that's my one just
Hmm. I
gripe
mean, I
with the
kind of
show.
maybe, as you're talking about that, I kind of think that's the point. I kind of think people are supposed to be lost and not really know what's happening yet. I think eventually it will become clear. And through the trailer, we can kind of see that stuff is gonna happen. Like, there's gonna be, like, we're gonna fight for our home. Like, or like all that stuff will come. I think right now we're supposed to be kind of wondering what's happening.
Hmm.
Um, and we kind of been able to pick out the details and kind of get a little bit more, but I still think there's a lot we don't really fully understand or know
Oh,
that will be revealed.
uh,
And also the
yeah.
trailer, I do kind of want to talk about. We'll get there, but I want to talk about the differences with the trailer because there were differences this episode
Oh,
with
yes.
lines. Like the same line was taken. Like I guess just briefly, I wanted to say Wanda goes, "We don't know what to expect." Like she says that line, but it's a different take.
Yes.
Because
I yeah,
we've watched
I
the
noticed that
trailer so
too.
many times at this point. We know exactly her tone and how she says it, and it wasn't the same. I don't know. That I thought was interesting. So, the trailers in general, just for me, because like this is now a complete side thing, but um, as an editor, what I thought was really interesting with all these trailers that were put out is I've worked in a trailer house before, so I kind of have had the behind the scenes look of what is done. And typically, from my experience, a studio will send out a movie or dailies, which I'm assuming is what they did for this, just like bits and pieces of maybe edited stuff, but probably not the whole thing because obviously it's Marvel. But and because there wasn't a lot of variety between all the trailers, there was a lot of stuff of the same, but they'll send it to all these different people and pay them all to edit trailers, and then they'll just pick their favorites to air. They didn't just pick their favorites, they aired probably a lot. They aired so many of them. Like I've edited trailers for things that you've never seen them anywhere. Like they got sent to NBC and NBC decided not to air them. I mean, I had one that got aired, but like still. So it's that's just kind of the way it goes. And I, as just someone who has worked in trailers, I thought that was really cool that all those trailers got released and it really helped hype up what was happening, like hyped up the show coming out.
Agreed. And the things I noticed too is that like they aired. Yeah, it's funny how like I maybe it was due to COVID. I'm not sure. Maybe it was like with the date being delayed. Uh, they just released so much of their marketing like and linked to in late year like pretty much I think late 2020. You said you're getting just a lot of content, a lot of marketing. But I've noticed with the trailers with the the overabundance of these WandaVision trailers is that, of course, they're not really spoiling anything. I think maybe each of those trailers were using a lot of different shots, but still, like, it's not like you were watching a trailer and you were like, oh, I definitely know
Yeah.
what the plot of the story is now. Like,
It brings up more questions than answers, like, of what you're watching in the trailer.
yes.
And I loved the editing. The editing on all those trailers were incredible. I watched that second trailer with the song that ends up at the end of the third episode
So good.
so many times.
Yeah.
That editing was flawless, and it just brought so much feels. Anyway, that was a fun side note about trailers, and obviously things they changed. There was a few things this episode they changed from the trailers.
I thought they did an excellent job with the first, but mainly more with the
that second trailer was incredible.
of the show. They using again, and oh my god, if older listeners are listening to this, or even people who are a fan of just music general, please don't hate me on this because I want to make sure I get this right. But I believe it was the Monkees that played that second song. I mean, the song.
I don't
for
even know
the
what
second
it's
trailer.
called. My mom does. I showed my mom.
Is it Sleepy
and she's
Jean?
like, I know that song.
Oh,
Yes,
it's
that's
Daydream
it.
Believer.
Daydream
That's the
Believer.
song.
That's the
Oh
song.
god. But it went so well with the episode, with the trailer, and yeah, you see all this stuff that's going on. And I'm still like, I have no idea what the show's about. Like, but should we sort of get into sort of
Yeah.
the crux of episode 3, maybe? Because I feel like you hear that song again at the end of episode 3.
Let's talk about the episode. So the episode starts and they're all like the doctor's in there and the babies are coming, and then everything goes wrong.
All hell breaks loose.
Yeah, that's
definitely.
what I didn't say, but that's what I meant.
Yeah, I can bleep that out too. But I think with that, yeah. So they start off, the episode in a very Brady Bunch type way with the intro.
With the intro, another great intro song, and a lot of
definitely,
shots from the trailers were used from that intro. There were a lot of
yes.
shots there, and there was also a lot of just shots for that intro. I mean, like, they filmed an entire intro. I mean, they did this for the rest of them, but like this felt like very episodic when you see those shots in episodes, but they didn't have enough episode to make a whole trailer, so they like pretended, not trailer, intro, so they just shot some other stuff for it.
Yeah. I've noticed that too with like just all this stuff, and you're like, oh, that's probably part of the, some of it's part of the episode, and maybe it's like really significant, but really like, no, it's the, just the intro to the trailer.
Yeah.
I mean, intro to the episode to sort of set up the 70s vibe of the episode. And I thought it was just interesting because it's like, oh, what scene or what shot from this show is going to be truly significant, and which one's going to be like, oh, this is just to set up the vibe of the different decade that they're in. But yeah, to sort of get into the sort of the plot of this episode. So I'm guessing the fake plot A of the episode is that, okay, Wanda is pregnant and her pregnancy is fast approaching, and it's causing either her powers to freak out or something else. And I think that's sort of the fake plotline that we're getting. But what is interesting, what I'm also seeing, is that the side characters are definitely revealing more than I thought they would. About the reality.
Same. Well, like, it's the whole thing. We're finally seeing in color, so more and more, I think, is getting revealed about the worlds that they're living in.
Exactly. Color definitely is playing a big part in sort of revealing things. And that's funny because if you think about color, like, oh, you're bringing color into someone's eyes, or like, or color me pink or color me blue, as they say. Like, you're sort of bringing things into light, in some way by saying that. Like, oh, so I think color in some way with the new episode as it is now titled Now in Color, is definitely bringing more of the story into light. This is where I feel like we're getting more of what's really going on with the show.
Yeah.
Uh, and what I found interesting is that when Vision, when the doctor comes in and the doctor leaves after he's done with the appointment, you notice that like, oh, like, so the doctor's supposed to be leaving for Bermuda with his wife, uh, and then the doctor says like, oh, small towns, they're just really hard to escape from,
Yes.
and then you're
I
like,
wrote that
oh, okay,
down.
that's a big thing.
Sorry, I dropped my notebook on my keyboard.
Oh no, no worries. No, I just like, I just thought it's like, okay, so I've noticed like, okay, is he trying to like tell Vision something? Like, is he trying to like let him know like, okay, you gotta like, we're trying to like let you know about something, but we hope you pick it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I actually wrote down that line here in my notes. Small towns are hard to escape is the word he used. I capitalized escape. Like, oh wow, yeah, they're hard to escape. Yeah. So, sorry, what's next?
No, I just find it funny. I was thinking like, okay, so is Wanda trapping these people? Like, are these people trapped by Wanda? And like, are they
Mm-hmm.
trying to get the Vision to tell Vision like, hey, like, can you help us stop this or something?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's revealed in this episode is, I mean, just to, I guess, fast forward a little bit, now that we're talking about this, it kind of was revealed that Wanda is definitely responsible, that she is kind of, I mean, maybe it wasn't revealed. We kind of knew that she has
Oh yeah,
control,
for sure.
obviously,
Yeah,
because of what happens with Monica later in the episode.
yeah, we definitely know Wanda's controlling this reality. I think what I think it's funny, what's weird is that like the what I thought, thought the characters were more so just truly part of the sitcom, and they maybe were asleep in this sitcom world, or just like part of the Wanda's plot. But now I feel like some of them know what's going
Yeah,
on,
they're
and I think
waking
that's
up.
just yeah. I think not only with the doctor, but like as this pregnancy situation with Wanda keeps rolling on, and like all the crazy mishaps are
Mm-hmm.
happening, um, you sort of get more from the characters, like quickly, right when you see Vision talk to Agnes and Herb, the two other side characters, they're talking off to the side, but they definitely look like they know that they're not really should be a part of this reality, right?
Yeah, there was a line talking. Oh wait, what is it called? I wrote it down. I thought I did. There's. I thought I wrote it down. I can't find it though. There's a line that the guy says. The guy outside. I don't know if we know his name. What's his name? The
Oh, so I think it's Herb,
Herb.
right?
Yes, Herb says something about something to what's to Vision. Oh, here it is. She came here. Oh, this is when they're talking about
Monica,
Monica. She
right?
came here because we're all, and he doesn't finish that sentence. So, I mean, she came here because we're all trapped. Like, so, I mean, I feel like we've gotten really ahead of ourselves with this episode. We're not going
Oh,
in
we really have.
chronological order.
We went from like, oh
Sorry,
yeah,
but
this is just this craziness about same here. So,
we try to keep
uh,
these episodes short of the podcast, but this episode we have a lot of episodes to get through.
we do. Okay, so I'll guess we'll just hit the major points then. I think.
Uh,
Uh, just really quickly. So we get sort of so Monica Rambeau. I don't know if you mentioned this before, but she is this side character. She plays Geraldine in this sitcom world of WandaVision, and she comes in and she's like plays Wanda's great quirky friend, and Wanda tries to distract her and tries to get her to leave, but things change from that fake plot A storyline to when Wanda finally has her two kids, Billy and Tommy, and you notice that Wanda's like, oh yeah, I used to have a twin like Pietro, and then like things start to shift
yeah.
when
Oh my gosh.
Monica's like, oh, he was killed by Ultron, wasn't he? And then Wanda's like, what did you just say to me? Like, what?
It felt like another horror element with her face and what she reacted to at that point in time. Like, oh boy, like, oh, things are about to go down.
Things are about to go down. And I, it's weird to me. Is like, so that's what I'm trying to think about too. So Monica, just like at first I thought she was sort of trapped in this world, but now I'm just thinking like, okay, so she sort of knows. Like, is she just sort of playing a role to try to get to Wanda? Like, something is up with this. And why did you think it was a good idea to mention her brother, which
That's a
she
good
was
point.
like
Like,
right
why would
to
you
that?
bring that up? Like, maybe it's to wake her up. Like, to see, because maybe Sword doesn't realize how much of an impact she's having on what she's doing. Because we think Monica's obviously part of Sword because she was wearing the Sword necklace. And then at the end, towards the end, was what I was referring to. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself again. Sorry, Will. If you had,
No,
did
it's
you have
okay. No
something else
worries.
to say about that?
Oh no. Just to quickly, I think like I think uh she I as you also said, like I think she's just trying to find a way, to get to Wanda.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she's, trying to, maybe that was her sort of playing to trying to sort of connect with Wanda, trying to get her out of this reality. But it misfired. She definitely did not intend to sort of cause her to get angry and, I guess, throw her out of her little sitcom world. I think it's just like you could see how maybe Monica just meant the best, but really her best was perceived as the worst thing that she could do to Wanda.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, so that's all I have to say about that. But yeah, it's funny because in the trailers, like you sort of see what maybe happens to Monica, but in this episode, you don't. You just see her getting thrown out of the reality.
Yeah,
Um,
like in the trailer, she's like, I don't know who I am, right? Or I don't know why I'm here, or like something like
yeah,
that. And that's,
yeah,
she has intent. Like, this is like, she came in like tugging and like wanted something to happen. That's the complete opposite of what we were teased in the trailer.
I know. Like you thought it was just someone else controlling her and Wanda together, like oh they're both stuck in this prison, but no, I think it's definitely Wanda controlling this, of course, and Monica's trying to find a way to have her end this, to
Mm-hmm.
stop this madness.
And just made it worse and threw her out and like cut to I mean, we could cut to that later. And then he goes outside, and then the whole scene is we're trapped, and like, well, not we're trapped. What's the line again? It's they're
Oh, we're
talking
here.
about who Monica
She's here because
is.
we're.
Yes, she came
I
here because we're all, and then it cuts out, or I think it just cuts. I don't remember exactly what happens after that.
Yeah.
And
Um.
then it cuts to Wanda, and she looks like a villain at this point. Like, she looks like
Oh,
she
she
did
does.
something bad. Like,
Yeah.
don't mess with me. Like, like pretending everything's fine, but like secretly it's like everything is not
Oh,
fine.
yeah.
If that makes
I
sense.
know. Like, so part of me thinks like, okay, like like they don't know about Monica. They don't know. Okay, why is she stuck in here with the rest of them?
Yeah.
But I'm thinking like, also, so Monica maybe was trying to maybe rescue all the people who are in there. Maybe she's trying to find a way to get to Wanda. But like the one thing I also agree with Wanda, she is straight up now like a villain, and you see that definitely when Vision comes back into
Hmm.
the house, and all of a sudden the
Oh
aspect ratio
yes,
changes.
that I love that. That just makes me feel so. It just like, ooh, it just makes me so excited. Like, this is
I
so
loved it
cool.
so much. I was like, oh my god! Like that's why I feel like the MCU definitely stepped up their game. They're just like, oh, you thought we were just this? We play the same old movies for you with the same old formula. Well, guess what? We're doing something different
Yeah,
for
I mean, they
you.
needed to because they had what 23 movies, however many movies of the other stuff.
Yeah,
So it's. I think they're doing a great job. And then that
definitely.
reveals to the what I think you were talking about earlier was the Westview sign. Is that what it's called?
So yeah, Monica gets she gets thrown out of the reality. One is like, you get out of here. You get out of here now. Like you get out of my life. I don't want you in here anymore. You mentioned my brother, and now I'm pissed. So leave my house.
Yeah.
So she gets put. So Monica gets pushed out of the reality. She lands in like this little grassy area, and then you see the Westview sign beforehand, and you're like, wait, oh, so there's an actual Westview. There's an actual
Mm-hmm.
suburb of Westview, and then you see this weird static-y dome. Like you see this dome that's covering the area, and you're like, oh my god, wait, is this like the reality that Wanda's trapped these people in?
Oh, I didn't realize the dome part. I think I saw it, but I don't think it really registered to me.
Yeah, it's like something was definitely being like
Yeah.
looked at because you have
Mm-hmm.
the lights, you have
Yeah.
the
Oh yeah, because she
field
like
lights.
flew out of
Yeah,
the. I know exactly what you're talking about. I didn't really think about. I watched Under the Dome too, so like to me that's like, I watched that a lot. I love that show, and like,
yeah,
this to
but
me
maybe
is
they're referencing that too a little bit.
and also there's like a Hunger Games. They have the dome, like, and just thinking about other things. Like I didn't really think much of it.
Yeah, I know. I love dome TV shows or dome movies that like have people trapped in domes, and you have to try to figure out a way to get them out. But
Yeah.
um,
Side note, but
what's interesting,
yeah, go for it.
yeah, no, sorry, I know, you go.
No, I have nothing to say. I
Gotcha.
think I'm just
Sorry.
making words from my mouth.
No. But I think what's weird. Okay, so Monica gets sort of pushed out the reality, sort of a little bit like like. Of course, she's like mad that she's out, but like at the same time, she's unfazed about it.
Yeah.
She isn't really freaking out about it. She's like, oh god, like
Yeah,
this
that
is a
was a
lot.
really interesting face that she showed at the like, and that was I think that was a different take too than the trailer. I don't think it was exactly
Oh yeah, it just looked like she's exhausted, and she's like, oh god, what am I doing? This is too much.
and
Um,
then the trailer song plays.
yeah. Then you have
That's my last
the
note for this episode.
yeah yeah. So it's just like I think to me it's just like okay, so we're finally sort of getting into what the show is sort of really about. We're finally seeing a bunch of cars coming through, seeing trying to get to Monica. Probably they're from Sword. They're Sword cars, and like people just like
Chloe Bennett,
getting Monica
is that
out.
you? Sorry,
Yeah.
it's just gonna you're
No,
just gonna hear me say that. Chloe Bennett.
maybe she's actually part of the show. They just like never even mentioned it.
I
Maybe
I can't talk about
maybe she's the
that.
head of Sword, and like we just didn't know
Oh
that.
my gosh, stop it. Stop
I'm gonna
it.
stop. I know.
I
I
can't
know. If I
because that
mentioned like
just
a
makes
tiny
me
bit,
so excited.
I know that'd be crazy
She's been a
if
part
that
of
did
it this
happen.
whole entire time. And stop. We can't. Oh, I
We
love
can't do.
her
We
too
can't
much.
delight. We can't delight that fantasy. But anyways, okay. So we finally get more into that, and I think, yeah, like we'll see how this goes. But now I think for the next episode, we're probably going to have one half in the sitcom world, one half with Monica. That's what I'm sort of
Oh, you think so?
seeing, right?
Maybe.
I think so because
That
yeah,
would be
I think
fun.
that'd be
I'm
fun.
down. Because, like, to me, after this episode, I was getting a little tired of the sitcom stuff.
Yeah.
I want to know what's happening. Like, I sat through 3 episodes and we watched all of the sitcom stuff, but now I want a Marvel movie. Now I want to know what's happening, and maybe we will. Maybe you're right. I thought we were
Oh,
just going to get another
yeah.
sitcom, but I'm wanting more.
Oh, sorry, my
personally.
Oh yeah, I'm wanting more too. Like I'm, like, I want sort of more of like what's going on. I want to know. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the sitcom element, but at the same time, I'm just like, okay, you're giving me hints, but I need to know. Like by episode 3, I was like, I was sort of sad that I was sort of bummed I didn't get to see like Wanda use her like real powers, because I was like, oh wait, like you're not revealing that. Like I wanted to sort of see more of like, okay, like what's really going on, like why, like. But anyways, I think that's the point. Like
Yeah.
maybe they didn't feel they need to show that, but like maybe in the next episode we sort of see like what is truly like, we finally see more of the characters outside the dome or outside of this reality, and we truly start to figure out, okay, like what is really going on, and like if we, our theory is probably correct that like one is controlling reality, but who, I think there's definitely someone else, helping, with the strings. I think either, I don't know if it's Hydra or AIM or any like shady other organization in the Marvel universe.
We forgot to talk about the Hydra soak.
Oh yeah, so again, another commercial was mentioned.
Another commercial, the Hydra soak, which is just like the soap in
Yeah,
the Hydra soap in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Another one. Maybe Coulson's coming
yeah,
back.
and it gives you false memories, right? And
Yes, that's exactly what it does. That's what he talks
yeah,
about.
so like, oh my god, so maybe like I don't know how like it
There
works.
are these Shield references that are like existing. So I don't know how people. If you like Shield, please leave a comment and just let me know. I
Yeah,
mean, I just love that.
for sure. Okay, so I think
Okay,
just
so
for the end of this episode, like just think, okay, so maybe it's Wanda, or maybe something's going on where they're using some type of Hydra substance to to knock her out, and maybe it's Hydra helping her, maybe it's AIM controlling, helping Wanda, in this reality, and it's Sword trying to get her out of here. Maybe it's with the
yeah.
Beekeeper, maybe it's with Monica, but I feel like in some ways they're definitely trying to get Wanda out because this town of Westview is definitely maybe being controlled by Wanda. That's my theory. This regular town
Yeah,
of Westview is being
same.
controlled by Wanda now.
I mean, if we get into like super theories, I don't know where I heard this, but like this show is leading up into the next Doctor Strange movie, correct? And that Doctor Strange movie, from what we hear, is going to be a horror-ish film,
I
right?
believe so. Yeah.
And we're getting the horror elements throughout these episodes, like little bits of Wanda. I mean, I've been saying this for months. I don't know if I read this online. I probably did. That Wanda's gonna be Wanda's a villain right now. Wanda has lost everything. She has, and what we don't really know much about her still. I feel like we know she had a brother and was hurt, and she has these powers, and she wants to do good, and she fell in love with Vision. But like, we haven't gotten a movie about her. We haven't gotten anything about her. So I still feel like there could be this whole dark side to her that we never saw, because I mean, she did say yes to being experimented on
Yeah.
by Hydra. Like, she chose that, right? Like, I mean, maybe she didn't, but
Yeah.
I thought that's what happened. So like, uh evil evil Wanda, it isn't too far
Yeah.
fetched for
Like evil
me.
Wanda's definitely. It's not too far fetched. Like she was evil. It's weird. Like she's had a very. I would say her ride's definitely been uneven in terms of just like her development. Like you've had her. Okay, before and when she was in Hydra, she was sort of evil. She wanted to attack 20, but at the same time, like she had a reason because she almost got killed by like a Stark missile with her brother, and then I think she
Yeah.
became good when she wanted to become Avenger and she wanted to help others. Um, but then along the way too, just like she definitely was broken because she lost her brother, she lost Vision, and she also got snapped, right? She also got snapped for like 5 years. So like things are maybe a little bit different when she comes back, and now she's just like, and the Avengers are disbanded, right? The Avengers aren't really a thing anymore that much, right?
Yep. And she didn't sign the accords,
True,
correct?
yeah. So she's like,
So she's running. She's a fugitive. Like,
oh, oh yeah.
so
I wonder if I don't know. Did you get pardoned? Like I don't even know like what happened after Endgame.
I don't think so. I think she's still like part. I don't think that ever really got resolved.
Yeah, I mean, like I wonder how
Because
if
right after that happened, she was running, and they all kind of went underground. The people who didn't sign the accords, and then Endgame happened, and they got
yeah.
snapped.
So
So they really, I don't think we're going for that. I mean, we saw what happened with Hawkeye. He didn't sign, correct?
no, he
Or
didn't
did
sign
he?
either. Because
Yeah. So like
he's retired.
he.
He put like, oh, he's retired. I'm not doing anything.
Oh yes, but then he went back and did all what he did. That's a whole nother topic. But
Oh yeah,
yeah. So who knows? We'll
we'll
see
see. Like
how
I'm
things go.
really interested to see. I think the next episode's going to be with the '80s, but we'll see where it goes because I definitely want to see. And also, you have the twins. Like we didn't really mention them, but like
Mm-hmm.
you have these twins now. These babies who are they real? Or are they just illusions? I don't know, but like
That's a good question. Like, will they come out of this reality, and will Vision come out of this reality?
yeah, like
Because
yeah, they're not.
is he still
Yeah,
dead, or
like
did she actually create another Vision somehow? Like, who
did you go
knows?
back to like a different reality or different time and like
Did she time travel to get another
Vision
mind, or what stone is it? It's not. It's the Soul
Mind
Stone,
Stone
correct? Mind Stone. Mind
to
Stone.
get oh yeah, well
Yes, the
Vision has a Mind Stone right on his head.
Mind Stone, the yellow one.
Yeah, that's the Mind Stone. Yeah.
Whatever one that is.
So
Oh, there are too many.
there's
Okay.
way too many. There's six. There's too many.
I don't know if it was
Yeah,
the mind or the soul. Oh, because the Soul Stone is the Vormir. Yes, the
yeah,
Mind Stone.
yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna yeah. We'll see. I don't know what people will look like outside the reality if they're even real. If it's really hard to see. But I think with this next episode, we're definitely gonna get more answers. And if we're not, I don't know what they're gonna do with the show because I feel like if they don't give more answers soon, like people who aren't like huge Marvel fans like us are just gonna be like, I think it's time for me
And
to tap
they're
out.
also running at episodes, right? So we're on episode 4. What, there's going to be 8 or 9
Nine
episodes? 8
episodes.
episodes? 9
Yeah.
episodes? So we're getting to the point where like we should get more, right? Like we're running out of episodes. I feel like, in a way.
Yeah. Like
So
I think in a way, yeah. Like if you're not like you're almost midway, I would say almost midway through the season. Not really, but you're gonna be by the time you had episode 5, not 4, but 5. Like gonna be midway through the season, and you need to like give us a tiny bit more and sort of have scenes that aren't in the sitcom world. That way, we sort of
mhm.
understand like okay, like we get, and of course we're getting more of the plot by doing that. But at the same time, like maybe it's they're trying to figure out who's controlling this as well. Like
Yeah.
maybe it's not like it's some simulation, but I think for sure Sword is not controlling it. Sword's just trying to get into it.
Yeah, I think Sword's just trying to figure it out. Yeah. So I mean, thinking about it, we're probably going to get, I don't know. We'll see. But
Yeah, we'll see.
never mind.
But
Anyway, is that it? Is there anything else you
sh-
wanted to talk about?
is there anything else you want to talk about? Is that
No, I think we hit everything.
yeah?
Um, well, thanks for watching this or listening to this podcast.
Thank you so much, guys, for listening
Um,
to this. Thank you for listening to us ramble and at the same time trying to sort of get through our own little insights of the show and try to figure out like what's coming next.
mhm. So, we'll hopefully have another episode next week talking about the next episode. Make sure to follow us wherever we are. Follow us on Twitter and leave
Follow us on Twitter,
comments
yes, please.
because I would love to read them and maybe we could talk about them.
Should I mention the handles quickly for our Twitter?
Yes, mention the Twitter handles. We'll make sure
Okay.
they're in descriptions, but here we'll also mention them now.
Yes. So we'll make sure it's in the description. But for Twitter, we are at DuggBott, DuggBott. That's the name of this podcast, and we are gonna start tweeting some things, and we hope you like them. And no, please let us know how we're doing. We would love to know. Thank you so much, guys.
Cool. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.